Tonight at 6 o'clock, a compelling recording at the center of attention for day 10 of the Delphi murders trial.
That recording capturing an interrogation of the man who's accused of killing Abby Williams and Libby German more than 7 years ago. Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel spent today in the courtroom watching that recording. So Bob, walk us through it.
Scott and Ann, today's testimony focused on jurors getting to hear from Richard Allen, not the Richard Allen sitting at the defense table in the courtroom, but they got to see him on video. They got to read one of his statements. They got to hear about what he had to say in prison. Let's get you up to date here. The very first witness today actually was some videos. They were videos showing Allen being interrogated by state police. The jury got to see how Allen responded when he was questioned by investigators back in October of 2022. He was very respectful and calm and offered information willingly. Once police told him that they wanted to search his phone and his car and his house, though, well, Allen remained polite, but he said he needed to discuss that with his wife. He told police, "Your attitude toward me has definitely changed. This feels like you're interrogating me. You've known from the beginning I was out there. I told you that." State police investigators Allen responded, "We're not mad at you. We're not upset with you. We're just trying to get the truth." And they asked Allen if he is the man referred to as Bridge Guy captured on Libby German's phone, and they showed him a picture. Allen responded, "It's not me. You're not going to convince me it's me. I had nothing to do with those murders." He then said, "We're done. Arrest me or take me home." At that point, police took him home. And then 2 weeks later, State Police Lieutenant Jerry Holman interviewed Allen again with test results showing a cartridge at the crime scene cycled through Allen's gun. Jurors saw that second video interrogation where Holman told Allen the science doesn't lie. And he said that if Allen didn't confess to the murders, the media would portray him as a monster. Allen responded, "I did not murder 2 little girls. You're trying to convince me to confess to something I didn't do." He repeated that line dozens of times during the interviews with police. When Allen stuck to his story and he refused to confess, Holman started screaming at him and eventually arrested him. This afternoon, the focus then switched to Allen's confessions while inside prison. The former warden at Westville Correctional Facility told the jury that Allen confessed to him that he killed Abby and Libby, at least once in a written note and another time during a conversation. Several corrections officers told jurors that they also heard Allen confess. Allen's defense attorneys pointed out those corrections officers and the warden have little training in mental health, and the defense team will be presenting lots of evidence to explain why they believe Allen was mentally ill at the time he made up his confessions, or I should say that he made his confessions, and that the statements they say were completely made up. Emily Longnecker was also in court with me today. She is still in the courtroom right now. This is a very long day of testimony for jurors. 35 pages of notes is what I took down, and that was before I left late this afternoon and walked out of the courtroom. Emily is going to tell you more about the confessions that the jurors are hearing about late into the afternoon and into the evening tonight on 13 News at 11. We'll send it back to the studio. I'm live in Delphi with our continuing coverage of the Delphi murders trial.
All right, Bob Siegel, thanks so much to sort through in that testimony today. And we'll do that tonight on our Delphi debrief. We're going to take a closer look at that interrogation recording. Make sure you watch it. You can stream it every weeknight from 10 o'clock to catch up on the developments. WTHR Plus is where you'll find it. It's a free download. You can get it on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and also Roku.
Right now, IMPD has a person of interest in custody after a man was shot and killed inside of this plasma donation center on the east side of Indianapolis. This is the scene just a couple of hours ago near 36th and Post. Right now, police are trying to figure out what led up to this shooting, but they're telling us this was an isolated incident and there is no current threat to the public.
Metro Police say a drive-by shooting overnight clearly targeted the wrong home, and in doing so critically injured a 72-year-old woman who was sleeping inside her own home.
Our Jenny Runovich tonight shares surveillance video of the suspect's car and talked with neighbors on the west side about this crime.
Well, certainly a frightening crime, an innocent victim and a whole lot of bullets. In fact, you can see the bullet holes in the house here. We counted at least a dozen in the windows and siding. And then take a look over here. Cars parked nearby, hit by gunfire too.
A neighbor's security camera captured the suspects just before 4 a.m. on Digby Court, not far from IMS. 30 seconds after that sedan drives by, gunfire explodes down the street. The shooting peppered this house and hit the sleeping 72-year-old inside in the chest. The victim's son says his mom, who lives alone, didn't even know she was shot. She had trouble breathing, then called him. Medics found the gunshot wound. Now, police, family, and neighbors hope to get the shooter off the streets. They say this attack was likely on the wrong house, targeting the wrong person.
I want to see the person caught, of course, because, I mean, this is ridiculous. Because this is a nice, quiet little street. We never have. I mean, that's what was so shocking about it.
IMPD wants anyone with surveillance video from Tuesday morning in the area of Digby Court to call them or call Crime Stoppers at 262-TIPS. In Indianapolis, Jenny Renovich, 13 News.
An Indianapolis man was just convicted for his role in a deadly crime spree that took place over the span of 7 days back in 2019.
A jury voted and found Richard Garrett guilty of multiple charges that include murder, reckless homicide, armed robbery, and aggravated battery. Now, he was one of 3 people arrested for multiple shootings, robbery, carjacking, and the murder of Devin Gillespie. Also, a deadly hit and run that claimed the life of Anthony Mack.
The 2 officers, DeLance Hatcher and Rashana Farrow, are already serving time in prison for those crimes. Garrett is also already behind bars after getting sentenced for shooting and killing Fisher's canine officer Harley as the dog chased him before his arrest.
Another family is now suing the city and IMPD over a police shooting that ended in a man's death. Leandre Houston was killed by police last November. It happened near 38th and Shadeland. According to police, he was a passenger in a car that officers were trying to pull over when the driver started a chase. Then Houston allegedly got out of the car and ran. When police say he reached for something in his waistband, an officer shot him. Houston's family is now suing the department, the city, and the officer, Mitchell Farnsley. They're planning a press conference about all that on Thursday, and we'll be there to bring you the latest.
IMPD just arrested a man accused of impersonating an officer for the 2nd time in 2 years. Police tell us they spotted Jonathan Becker near a truck with activated lights directing traffic near Washington Street. Officers tell us he was wearing a reflective vest and a belt equipped with a radio and a handgun. Now, according to IMPD, it's not the first time he has tried impersonating an officer. Last year, police say Becker tried making a traffic stop, pulling over a car that ended up being an IMPD sergeant in an unmarked vehicle. Becker still faces charges in that case, along with charges over in Hancock County for unlawful gun possession. Becker made his first court appearance today on this latest arrest and is due back in court next month.
A Monroe County judge just dropped a majority of charges against an IU student who is accused of raping 2 women in the course of 1 week. Noah Apgar was initially charged with 5 counts of rape, 1 count of strangulation, and 1 count of confinement. But now a judge has dismissed everything except a single rape charge. Apgar was banned from the Bloomington campus back in September after 2 separate women came forward saying that he assaulted them. Apgar is expected back in court at the end of next month. So far, no jury trial has been set.